You had what was one of the greatest scandals of all time, that the coverage of the Biden administration, Joe Biden's diminished capacity, and the cover-up. Where was the New York Times? We just had a 3-hour cabinet meeting yesterday, Andrew. For 10 months, the Biden administration did not have a cabinet meeting. How are you going to invoke the 25th Amendment if the cabinet secretaries never see the president, which they didn't? That, I hear from people in the Treasury building that I see President Trump more in a day than my predecessor saw Joe Biden in half a year.
That was Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent letting it rip on Andrew Ross Sorkin at the New York Times, slamming the New York Times at the Times' own event for a double standard on covering Trump's health, but not blowing the whistle sooner on Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline while in office. You started seeing it in 2021. Let's welcome to the show Forbes Media Chair and Editor-in-Chief Steve Forbes. Steve, you're a wonderful, wonderful thinker, very, very smart. What do you make of this? We've already reported Trump is holding as many cabinet meetings in 10 months as Biden did in 4 years.
Well, you saw it on day one when Donald Trump was inaugurated as president. You remember that evening he was signing a pile of executive orders, making comments about each of these orders and answering questions at the same time. That first day in office, he answered more questions than President Biden did in 4 years. So the man has immense energy. He doesn't sleep much at night. He just goes and goes and goes. In terms of cabinet meetings, as you pointed out, there are numerous cabinet meetings, and I think public likes to see these cabinet officers discuss what they're doing or not doing, and so they get to know the officers that are in charge of the government of the country. Good stuff. Such a stark contrast. And you know what this goes to show? How desperate the Democrats are to try to rip Donald Trump, whether you like his policies or not, you don't like him or not, doesn't matter. They're just trying to find anything to rip him down. And that's why trust in the media is at an all-time low.
But it's a leader versus an auto-pen leader. I mean, we've listened to historians say Joe Biden's going to rank down there as one of the worst presidents. And I think you've said it, like Millard Fillmore or James Buchanan. I mean, so you have the president and vice president, J.D. Vance, calling out, the Democrats are engineering an affordability crisis hoax. People are debating that because there is people suffering, right, with cost of living problems. But Trump has had to reverse a lot of Joe Biden's bad policies, like costly car fuel economy standards. Ford CEO is loving that Trump's doing that. Inflationary green energy boondoggles that ignited inflation. DEI. AT&T just got rid of DEI. So when you look at what Trump is having to do to reverse what Biden and I dare say what Obama did, do you think the media not covering all of this properly, did that hurt America?
Well, what it does is increase distrust in the political system, which is poison for all of us. As for the economy, household incomes in real terms declined over $3,000 under Joe Biden. In the first few months of Donald Trump's second term, they've gone up over $1,100. So they're clawing back what they lost under Joe Biden. In terms of spending, that big, beautiful bill has spending cuts, not as big as we would like, but cuts for the next 10 years, which Joe Biden never did. Biden raised taxes. Donald Trump's cut taxes. Biden burdened the economy with regulations. President Trump is doing the exact opposite. So the facts speak for themselves, and the media should wake up to it.
Quick assessment, 4% GDP growth, 5% next year?
I would go a little lower, but I think the key thing is that people feel next year, especially if we get a Fed that actually cuts interest rates, that things are going in the right track, that the direction is the right direction. They don't care about numbers. They want progress forward, not backwards.
Thank you so very much, Steve Forbes. You're wonderful.